Good evening, everyone. Jamie, Alice, Stan, and ME. How are you?
Hi, Prof. Doing good.
Okay,
Thank you. How are you, Prof?
fine. Okay, so we just wait for a few more minutes while the other students come in. And then in the meantime, you can, just for sake of recording, maybe you can write your name and matrix number in the chat. Where is the chat? Yeah, in the chat. Just name and matrix number in the chat.
All right.
Just for recording purpose. It's not compulsory, but just for our recording. Okay, Christine, how are you? Christine, Nur Akila, Assalamualaikum. Okay, today we will cover topic 3. It is more of about the digital environment, digital marketplace, digital environment. So I put up the notes in the LMS. Okay, not many slides. I think we'll be finished. We'll complete it by 1.5 hours. Okay, let me start. Okay, in the early part we have covered last week, I think. Okay, we'll start with the situation analysis. When you want to do your digital business or digital entrepreneurship, you need to look at the situation surrounding you. We can break this situation into two portions. The micro environment, which is the one that deals directly with you, that you have interaction with, yeah, or maybe a second layer interaction connected to your suppliers, connected to your buyers, your customers. So these are called your micro environment. Your micro environment will be your supplier that have direct impact on you, and then maybe your customers, and also their intermediaries. Sometimes we don't buy direct from the suppliers. For example, like we buy some hardware, software. We don't buy direct from IBM. Perhaps we buy in Malaysia, we buy from Niaga and so on. So, but the pricing, the support come from the main company, the principal company. Yeah. So these are micro environment, and then there are competitors surrounding it, head-on direct competitors. So most startup, they look into the micro environment first. Not so many startup really go into the macro environment, the economic factor, what is the NAFTA and so on. So we want to start living first. So we look into the micro environment. And then there are several components of this macro environment, which are at the international level. We have these economic factors, international economy, what is the situation of international economy. Although it doesn't have the direct impact, but eventually it will cause some influence that will impact us indirectly. Some influence, maybe in the economic factors, legal constraints, maybe new laws in surrounding countries, for example, the cultural factors, and then now we have society. In terms of society, we have the public opinion about certain society. For example, like today in Malaysia, we have some boycotts going on. So these are public opinions, not international, actually, not legal, not economic, but it's public opinion. Moral constraints, things that people say it's wrong, and then things that people say is good. Moral constraints, ethical constraints, yeah, or sometimes somehow related with moral and ethical. And then there are country-specific macro environments, such as the economic factors specifically in your country. Yeah, and then that might cause you to move to another country. Uh, some companies in Malaysia actually move to Thailand, for example, or Indonesia, where they get better opportunities, but we're still doing business back in Malaysia. So those are the country-specific economic factors, legal constraint of the economic of the country-specific, as well as cultural factors of the specific country. And then, of course, there are other macro environment like innovation in terms of technology, maybe coming to electronic vehicle, connected cars, the say ChatGPT environment that we have today, AI, artificial intelligence, trends that people go today, maybe on social media, people buy things over social media and so on. How do we attend to these? So these are the macro environment. So the macro environment doesn't really directly impact your organization, but eventually it will have some influence, and then this influence will cause some ripple in the micro environment, and then eventually it will have some impact in you on your organization. So you will do your environmental scanning. So I'll go detail. For example, customers. In terms of customers, this is micro environment. What kind of services that your organization could support them in? So you look into opportunities. In business, we always look at opportunities. Whenever there is problem, there is opportunities. So what kind of services that you can offer to them? And then competitors, how do you benchmark with your competitors? What are their competitive advantages? And then intermediaries, whether you need intermediaries or you don't have intermediaries. I'll go in detail on these intermediaries. We have disintermediation, we have re-intermediation, and we have counter-mediation. Yeah. So we'll go detail this in terms of intermediaries. And then in terms of your suppliers, and then the intermediaries of the suppliers, what sort of products or services that they give to you, and then what is the offering that give them a competitive advantage to you. And then the microenvironment, like I mentioned to you earlier, the society, country-specific and international and legal, country-specific, international economic, and technologies. Yeah, so these are the environment that we look at out for. So how do we begin with doing your online market analysis? There are 4 steps that you do. First, you identify your customer segment. Who are your customer segment? And then you begin by doing search intermediaries. You search for the intermediaries. How do you access to your customers, your intermediaries? What are the intermediaries, influencers, and media sites involved? And then you look into the destination sites. Maybe, okay, this is how we do. So how do you determine your customer segment? Customer segment is different customer, the different customer with different or specific needs. Like I mentioned to you last week on business model canvas, it is either they have different channel or they have different or specific needs. Then you segment them. So you are not it's not a mass customer to you. And then whether they are, what type of customer do you have? Existing customer, or are they a new customer to you? Existing customer, maybe how do you maintain their loyalty program and so on. So, and then whether there are new customers, how do you bring new customers to you? So acquisition of customer, that is one thing. How do you acquire customers? And then whether your customers are web savvy or non-web savvy. If it is web savvy, how do you attend to them? How do you capture them? Yeah, how do you acquire the customers for those web savvy? And then we're talking about digital business. So what about those non-web savvy? How do you deal with non-web savvy? Those not familiar with the web, maybe, but still using telephony or some other systems, yeah, physical systems. So how do you attend to them? And then demographic segmentation in city, rural areas, yeah, and then so you can segment them. And then life cycle segmentation. So there is life cycle of the products, and then you look into the segmentation of certain products, and then psychographic kind of people, psychographic segmentation. So and then you will use search engine. Yeah, so we have you will use certain search engine. They could be generic search engine or product specific search or brand search to identify to get information, to get detail about the customers. It can be Google, which is a generic search. Yahoo still generic search, Live. So there are other search networks, search engine that specific certain industry within the community. And then there can be also specialist directories, what we call yellow pages, to specific industries. And then in order from there, you can look into the media that you can use to access to your customers. So it can be horizontal portals, mainstream media, or it can be a niche media sites or social networks. For example, like in Malaysia, for buying and selling, we have Mudah, Mudah.my. Mudah.my started as, it is, remember when we have the old newspaper, they are the classifieds. They, did, they digitize the classified ads. Yeah, they are not actually an e-commerce platform, but they digitize the classified ads. So, and then these classified ads have their specific natures in the Mudah. And then for cars, we are selling cars, for example, they are custom and so on. So there is niche media site, all the social network, TikTok and so on. And then there are also content that put up aggregators, aggregates the content or affiliates. Affiliates is where uh, you you have you put your advertisement in blogs or sites, and then you can pay them when the customers click or customers buy the product through them, through this media, and then you will pay off some commission or some fees or some royalty to them. Yeah, so those are aggregators. And then there are also small affiliates and blogs. Some people, for example, I write my own blog and then I put some advertisement of on books, and people come and buy books from me by clicking through my site, and we get some. And then we have other online value proposition or destination sites. Some people doesn't go straight away to the destination site, especially when you are starting your business. People do not know you. They do not know what is your URL or what is your domain name. They will go through another either a search engine or a specific horizontal portals or social media before they can reach to your end, to you. So you can by the end, eventually you need to have your company site. Yeah, you can get a domain. You buy a domain, and then you can subscribe a domain yearly. You have to buy the domain yearly. And then, so these are destination sites. There are online value propositions that you put up at the company site. And then there are also sites of your direct competitors and indirect competitors. So these are the destination sites. So you look into this mapping. So what are the sites of your direct competitors? What do they have? And then your indirect competitors, what do they have? Yeah, so then you can, in order to set up, to analyze, you will build this mapping, yeah, to analyze, yeah, to define the main type of online presence that you have. Yeah, you do an online market analysis. So this is how you do online market analysis. You look into, this is digital market. You're talking about digital market. So what are there? I mean, I always mention to my classes, my students who do business intelligence and so on. So before you can go anywhere, you need to know where you are now. Yes, it's logic, right? If you you don't know where you are now, then you will not be able to determine where are you going to. So you need to know, you need to do an analysis, and then you need to know where you are now. What is your company site? And then what do you have? What is the value proposition of your site? And then what does the direct competitors have? What is your indirect competitors have? And then you're going through what kind of portal. Do you realize that whenever you go to a site, and then the portal owner will usually ask you, how do you get access to their site? So you can say, okay, whether it's from search engine and so on. So they need to determine where do their customers come from. So they can determine what sort of customer segment are you, and then what sort of offering that they can offer to you. So you need to know this. Okay, this is the analysis. And then you can also use, this is an example of search intermediaries. You can use Google Trends. You just type trend.google.com, and then you can type anything, and then they will provide you some charts, yeah, where in terms of the from Facebook, from Twitter, from YouTube, of this your content, yeah. So you can just type trend Google. So we are in online class. If we are in physical class, there will be some activities that you get involved. But you can anyway, you can do this on your own. Yeah, you can type. information, and then you determine what sort of marketplace channel structures that you have. It can be B2C, B2B, or C2C. But while you are doing digital business, digital entrepreneurship, it should be B2B or B2C. You will be selling to another business, which in turn will be selling to another business. So this is B2B, or you'll be selling direct to your customers. So that is B2C, business to consumer or business. Yeah. So your organization will have the suppliers to supply to you, and then there will be some channels, channel partners where you get your suppliers, where you get your supplies. It might be direct from the suppliers, or it might be some coming some through some channels. Some products you can get directly, some product you need to buy through some channels. And then the same thing when you sell, you have channel partners to sell your products. So you can have sell to another business customer, B2B, and then this business customer will eventually in turn, sell to another customer, their group of customers. So you need to work out some margin and so on, some tiered pricing and so on to your business customers. And then, or you can just work out some commission where introducer commission and so on, where the customers will be actually dealing directly with you. Or your product, it is a software product, you can also sell direct to your consumer customers. Yeah, it is not the business customer, but the consumer customers. Or you can also be through another channel partners. Yeah, so that markets products on your behalf. Yeah. So, and then when we have this marketplace channel, there are situations where we call for intermediaries, when we have intermediaries. Yeah, this is the old way when we talk about 1990s, when we start e-commerce. We always say, okay, with e-commerce we remove intermediaries. Why we want to remove intermediaries? So that we can have a larger margin. At the same time, the customer can get access to lower cost when we buy from you at a lower price, because there will not be any. We will reduce the middleman. Yeah, we remove middleman, so the producer can sell directly to the consumer. So we do not need wholesaler and retailers. So you can remember Dell. You can build to order, and then Dell will send directly to you. Or even you can remember Gateway PCs sell directly to you. But you can see what happened to them, because some customers still need to have after-sales support. So the retailer actually can also work out as a support, or wholesaler can be a regional support, and retailer can be in situ support for certain products. So earlier we have this situation of producers will sell to wholesaler, wholesaler will sell to retailer, and retailer will sell to consumer. And then we cut off the retailer. So producer can sell directly to the retailer, and retailer can sell direct to the consumer. Now producer can, and then eventually producer can sell direct to the consumer. So remove wholesaler and remove retailer. So what about after sales service? So we can think about it. This is this intermediation. The idea of this intermediation is to reduce the price, to reduce the cost. But see what happened today. When earlier, we used to book if you remember, yeah, when you want to travel, how do you book your hotel? You call the hotel. There is a reservation number. Hotels, when you look into their yellow pages or their advertisements, or there is their reservation number. You call the reservation number, and then you ask them to quote your room, to quote a room for you, how many room nights you want to stay. They will quote to you the room, the rate, the tariff rate, or special rate they can give to you, and then you check in directly. So you don't have to. But today, how do you travel? You go to booking. You go to Trivago, you go to Expedia, and then Traveloka, and so on. So that goes against this intermediation. We are putting up intermediary. So we call this situation as re-intermediation. re-intermediation, we are creating a new intermediary. So earlier, step A, we have intermediary. Step B, we remove intermediary and then call this intermediation where company deals directly with the customers. Now, we redo the intermediation, but this intermediation is different people. It's an aggregator. For example, we have Airpass to buy airline ticket. There are many intermediaries for airline tickets. And then what else? Booking of hotels, you have intermediaries. And then even say Shopee, Lazada, there are some form of aggregators which act as well as intermediary as well. So why do we need this re-intermediation? Maybe somebody can explain why do we need. So maybe in your business, you're setting up digital business, you can become an intermediary, but you need to know what is the concept of re-intermediation. What is re-intermediation actually? Jamie, I like to ask Jamie, what is re-intermediation, Jamie? Why do we need re-intermediation?
Wow, that's a good question. I'm trying to think quicker, but I don't want to give you any silly answer. So I'm trying to see the flow. So you have intermediary, that is okay. Then disintermediation. Then we go back again to reintermediation. So maybe the market is pushing for something quicker, cheaper prices, something more effective as used to be, and it's more reliable. And also there are many options, as you just mentioned. There are almost 10 possible options to see. Maybe that's the digital market now is available. They have more options at cheaper price. Probably that's the reintermediation that it can be seen. It might humble significance.
Okay. There is no
No
right or
problem.
wrong answer, actually, Jamie, because you will be an entrepreneur. Okay, that's why you attend this class. You need to know why. If you want to reset, you want to set up an intermediary in any industry, maybe oil and gas, maybe banking. Do you know that fintech companies are intermediaries? Fintech companies are not banks. Most of them are not banks, or not. They are not financial institutions, but they are intermediaries. So there are companies that become intermediaries. Yeah? So intermediation is a new business. You can be intermediary in any industry. So, but you need to know, why should I be an intermediary? What is the advantage of me getting an intermediary? Maybe people want to buy furniture, and then people have been going back directly buying online from IKEA. See, but there will be some either competitors with IKEA, and then you sit in between. Okay, I have this, I have this, I have this, I have this, and then how do you make your margin? How do you make margin? How does intermediaries make margin? So
Yeah, I think I can speak to that, Prof. I think
yes.
the intermediary, they can make margin by providing the value add based on their expertise. There are certain business, for example, just now you mentioned about fintech. Definitely, for example, hedge fund or similar solution, they can provide the consultation. They manage their wealth management and so on into the financial management category or portfolio of a certain individual. So I think for that is one of the example. They provide the expertise, and they earn their margin from there, from the service that they provide or further value add that they provide. But I also think that it's also help the financial institution to further expand their market as well as to reduce the cost. Because for the financial FSI industry, if let's say if they need to maintain the strong expertise white collar within their resources, they will have to spend a lot of cost to fixed cost to keep it sustainable, as well as they will have to less their key focus on their core competency. So and further on, I think there's this also very important. If I'm in the IFSI industry, I think having a financial intermediary and to be a partner, we would be able to divide the risk.
So, sorry, Prof. Let me ask a question to Alice. Alice here, if you don't mind, Prof.
Yes, please.
Alice. Hi.
Oh, yeah. Hi,
Hi.
Jamie.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, So, but if you have a lot of people going into intermediary business, so it wouldn't be it wouldn't be an option for everybody. So if everybody wants to go into that field, it's not a crowded place for everybody to make money. Would it be better to be selective and to be unique?
I think that would be a yes. I agree with you. If everybody wants to go into intermediary industry, it would be very crowded and very high competitive. So I think it is a very subjective answers based on the entrepreneur mindset. For me, for an example, I would prefer to go in the niche market where I have a very strong value proposition and competency. And however, from a consumer perspective, if there are more intermediary, which means the machine will have to compete with each other, and the machine will getting lower and lower, and then I also have more opportunity to select the intermediary that I would refer. So I think it would be depends on which perspective we are discussing. Uh, for for example, if I'm manufacturing and if I have a lot of distributor lining up to purchase my product, to distribute my product, I would be very happy.
So yes, and Ziui, can you want to say something?
Yeah, Prof, I just want to
Yeah.
ask a question. So just now you asked regarding why a company might consider re-intermediation. At first I wasn't too sure, but I was thinking like, is it possible that a company will consider re-intermediation because to increase their efficiency? For example, I could save costs on not advertising my product, but I could find someone to advertise my product in my place, and in exchange, I probably give this intermediation commission fee for every product sold. So like I rather give commission rather than giving like advertisement fee. Is that one of the possibility to why a company does intermediation?
Yes, intermediation is also some form of outsourcing. You outsource, for example, like one thing like Alice mentioned, for fintech, they require to harness relationship with all these supply their customers, borrowers or depositors. So how do they harness relationship? So if they build on intermediary, so that they can have more access to a larger number of customers and so on. And then at the same time, it also reduce their overhead, because now everything counts, every cost counts, so you can reduce your overhead by outsourcing certain function. And then intermediation is an outsourcing of the marketing function or the sales function. So instead you have one man, but 1 or 2 person, and then in charge of all the outlets or the intermediaries that you deal, instead of you having the whole outfit of a marketing or sales unit and so on. That is intermediation. So this is the trend now that we have this re-intermediation. So early days when we started the concept of e-commerce during the early days was about to remove intermediary. It's a direct forward logical thinking. Say you remove intermediary, you will reduce the cost. But when the competition gets tough, you will say, I need to reduce some costs, I need to get more customers and so on. And then comes intermediaries that offers more things. For example, like if you want to book hotel now, it's better for you to go through some Trivago or rather than going direct to the hotel, because they have blocked the number of rooms and so on. So this is intermediation. So these are new things that we can maybe it's there to stay. Yeah, intermediation. And then there are channels. There are marketplace. There will be multi-channel for looking at marketplace. For this is one case on terms of estate agent, to sell their properties. When you this is when you embark from, especially when you start off from brick and mortar and moving to click market. So you will start with click and mortar market. You will start with an offline journey where you have local property, they put in newspapers, and then you go to agents, search engine, and then you can use white paper, these yellow pages and so on, and then you go negotiation at home, you have monthly letter, or you can have posts combining search engine and word of mouth. You heard of about your friends. Your friend tells you where you can buy certain properties, and then only you go to estate agent sites, and then you go to the home and property. Or today we have an online journey. Everything is online. Search engine. We have portals. You can book online, email, text. So this is the transition, transforming from brick and mortar to a click. And then even today, there are industries like uh, stock market, for example, Rakuten, they are totally online. Yeah? Rakuten is a Japanese company. But there are some problems when moving to digitalization. We have website and apps which are too slow. So, but today we have some solution 5G and so on. And then some services are not designed for desktop, but today the new CMS, they have a way to change. They could detect whenever you change the system, will detect whether it is mobile, tablet, and so on. And then when some website or app services are unavailable, and then there are bugs in your apps or errors in data, and product and services are not delivered in time. Actually, these are because in the physical class, we will have an activity to do, but online, we remove that. And then besides that, we also have customer communication not being dealt with. And then we have privacy and trust issues such as fraud and data theft. But the customer communication is now dealt with complaint bureau. And then we also have this term, we call it sentiment analytics. Sentiment analytics will capture data from the social media. And then from this data, from the raw data from social media, which is normally in your chat, in your comments, in your postings and so on, and then they will pick it up and then break it into subjective and objective, or we call it sentiment, or what do you call it? Subjective and objective. Because subjective, which is more of emotions, or an objective which you can use to break it into positive, negative, and neutral comments. And then from the analysis of these comments, is based on the technology behind it's called natural language processing, where we use keywords and identify keywords which is positive, which is negative, and so on. But there is problems when in terms of jargon that's not familiar with the system. Then we will, after thrashing everything, they will get a ranking or ratio of how many positive comments about your products and what are they, negative comments about your product and what are they, and so on. So this is customer communication are being dealt using sentiment analytics. Then we have key management issues. Okay, which digital platform should we support? We can have, I think I'll not be reading it. It's in your notes. So I'll just skip this. Okay, now we look into the digital infrastructure, 5-layer model of digital business infrastructure. Digital infrastructure, we have the topmost will be the application layer. This is by Chaffee. Chaffee decided that they aggregated this business infrastructure for digital business into 5 layers. 5 layers. The topmost will be the digital business services applications layer. This applications layer will deal with all those interactions that deal directly with the customers. Directly with the customers. Maybe the CRM, customer relationship management system, supply management system, not directly to the customers, but within the suppliers. Data mining, we call capture data from the transaction processing system and so on, and then content management system. So these are the application layer that involve the application, deal directly with the customers, and so on. So then this is the basic upfront system. And then at the back end, we have the support system, which is still the software system, but the support system like web browser, server software, standard networking software, database management system, which is the main utility and support system that supports the application upfront. So we have application upfront, and then the back end is just a system software layer. And then we have the transport layer that delivers content from one PC or server to another server. We call it, for example, like TCP/IP, Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol. That is the Internet Protocol. Transmit content from one server to another server. Yeah, so that is the transport layer. The fourth layer, which is the physical layer in your computer that holds your content. Now we have the solid state drive. Previously, we have magnetic storage, we have optical backup, temporary storage in RAM, and so on. So this is the physical layer. And then we have data layer inside the computer, still inside the computer, web content for your intranet, internet, customer data, transaction data, and so on. But it is not really meant for application. It is the content or data layer. Yeah, so this is the basic infrastructure of the system of a business infrastructure or digital business infrastructure, basic content. Yeah. 5-layer model. We have this front end applications. Middle is the support and utility software. Number 3 will be the transport. How do you communicate? Which is the networking layer. Yeah, from computer to communicate with another computer. And then storage. How do you hold the content? And then this content will be pulled into a database. Yeah, so we have customers' data and so on. Yeah, so this is the basic infrastructure. Yeah, and then URLs. I think by now, did I mention to you? Maybe I have mentioned to you that URLs are not domain names. URLs are not domain names, and domain names are part of the URL. Domain name, which is the domain name? Domain name is the one that have www dot, this is the domain name, dot extension. The extension can be .com, .my, and .id, Indonesia, and so on. So this is the domain name. And then the URL will have a slash after the domain name, and then they will have the address towards the location of the resources. Location of the resources is where you get your resources. Maybe you have your PDF file. Maybe you have this is hypertext markup language, which is the web, is a web page, or PD or any other document that is being stored in the server. So that is the URL. Yeah. So domain name is the next is the mapping, or what do you call it, addressing. Okay. It's a parallel name. It's a parallel name between that match against with the IP address. Yeah, with the IP address. So .com, .co, and so on. This is a file name extension, top level domain. Yeah. And then when you look into this URL will comprise of a protocol. This is the protocol here. HTTP is the hypertext transfer protocol. HTTPS will be hypertext transfer protocol secured. So it can be FTP and so on. And so that is the protocol. This is the host name. Host name here is www, which is World Wide Web, the main host. And then you can have a domain name or subdomain. Sometimes behind this domain, before the domain name, you can have a subdomain, but you need to remove this www, then a subdomain, or the subdomain can be after this, after the extension. So you can have subdomain and the domain name. Top level domain, which is this part, sometimes here, the extension, sometimes we have this .my, .sg, yeah, that is top level domain. And then second level domain, we see the other side, yeah, maybe .com, .my. The .com is the second level domain, top level domain is the .my. And then there is a port here. So behind this, sometimes there is a number 2083, 80, 80, and so on, with a colon. And then after that is 80, 80. That is the specific port in the server. The servers have port. So that is the address direct to the specific port. So certain application, they run over on a specific port at the server. So you need to go to that specific spot. And then the path is the address, // and so on, until you reach the URL, that is the path, and then the parameter. Sometimes you give a parameter here, number, certain forms that will be interacting with the content in the URL. Yeah, parameter. And then they can be an anchor or fragment where you put links and so on. So you have an anchor there. So applications, how do you put in the application? Applications are mostly being fragmented. So this is a fragmented application infrastructure where you have business process application architecture, we have application data architecture, technology architecture. So, and then there is functional barriers that separates each of these functions. So department, for example, procurement, they have this technology architecture, they have the application architecture, they have business process architecture. But this is not really, it is costly to the organization. It is costly. At the same time, it prevents sharing of data, resourcing of data. So everything runs in a silo. So if this is a business process, what is the business process? Are activities that you do in your organization for procurement, hiring in your HR, yeah, and so on, giving up payroll and so on. And then there is an application data architecture at the back, and then there is a technology architecture. So everything is in silos. So there is a functional barrier. So these are what we call fragmented applications. But today we combine them into a functional integration. So we can have some components of, still have these components of procurement, logistics, finance, marketing, but the technology architecture rises across. We have application data architecture rights across and business processes that combines, it aggregates, integrates with the other systems. And so this is functional integration, where when we do digital business, we move everything, combine everything together. For example, if you do this, some of the portion might still be in manual, and then you will not be able to aggregate them because certain portions are still manual. So they are in silos. When you aggregate them into, integrate them into uh, uh, non-fragmented infrastructure. So you can have uh, a combined business processes that goes through all the other activities, for example, like procurement, finance, marketing. When marketing do the activity, the data move to the procurement. Procurement can start production, selling the product, delivering the product, and then invoiced by the finance department, and then receive the product, and then you get the delivery order, and then get payment, move into finance and so on, and then marketing will be able to rate the customer, the credit worthiness of the customer and so on. So everything is aggregated, yeah, integrated. So, and then this is use of applications at different level of different levels of management. We have this about ERP, knowledge management software, and data warehousing, data mining. We can see basically, I think if you learn management, this is the 3 tiers of management. We have operational management, tactical management, and strategic management. Strategic management deals with strategic decisions. Strategic decisions are what we call it unstructured decisions. They deal with unstructured problems. From time to time, they deal with things that purely unstructured, and then they need to determine the solution for them, and then they will apply unstructured decision making. There is no proper structure for the decision making. But once they structure a decision making, they have decided they made certain decision. They will pass on their decision to the tactical management. Tactical management comprise of people like the marketing manager, finance manager, HR manager, and so on. So those are tactical management compared to the strategic management, which are the board of directors. So upon receiving the instruction from the board of directors, the tactical managers will have some instruction, but they need to determine how to carry out the instruction. So they deal with semi-structured problem, because some of the problem is structured because they have instruction from the top, but how to carry out is unstructured. So it's called semi-structured problem. And then they will use semi-structured decision making. So certain common components they are structured, so they are able to make the decision. But the other part, which is unstructured, they need to decide on their own. And then upon this making their decision, they will pass on that decision down to the operational management. Okay, this operational management will have what we call it, instruction from the top, and then they will have routines how to carry out certain tasks. They have specific routines, so they need to just to comply whatever being assigned to them. They need to comply. So that is called operational management. They deal with very structured decision making, very routine processes, and then because they deal with very structured problem. For example, structure, for example, like in order to withdraw monies from your bank when you hold 1,000 ringgit in your account, and then there is you want to withdraw 900, you must make sure that the withdrawal amount is lesser or equals the balance in your bank. So if it is lesser and equals, then they need to prove. If it is not less or more than the balance, the bank will reject them. So that is very simple, structured decision making. So that's why when operations, uh, when we involve very structured decision making, routine decision making, they can be replaced by automation because there is no part of this unstructured. They don't deal with unstructured problems. Everything is structured. Structured you can implement into systems. So in this decision-making levels, we have in level management, we have the enterprise resource planning that involve the sharing of resources in finance, HR, and so on, materials, and so on. So, and then we have knowledge management software deals with aggregation of data, and then data, once we aggregate data, we get information. When we get aggregate information, we get knowledge. So data is meaningless, but when you combine data with another data or metadata, it becomes information. Information is it's a meaningful data, and then you can make decision from information, but you cannot act on information. You cannot act on information. You can only act on knowledge. If you are an engineer, you have information, you're not an engineer, you need to be a knowledge, you need to hold knowledge in order to practice as an engineer or as a doctor, physician, you need knowledge. Knowledge is aggregation of information combined with understanding and experience. Then you have knowledge. So knowledge management software is aggregated from the operational level management to tactical management up to the strategic level management. And at the same time, we have data warehousing, data mining, where we can aggregate this data to provide some understanding, information, and become knowledge, yeah, from data mining. So we have supervised learning and unsupervised learning. We call it machine learning. There are two types, supervised learning and unsupervised learning. Okay, then elements of digital business infrastructure that needs management will be on the this is when we deal with client applications, application aggregation, integration with partners and intermediaries. So this is how you manage your external network. External network is so-called extranet. Yeah, extranet is your external network, but you have control, you have access to it, but you target your other supply, either your client or you can use browser so that your client can have access to it. For example, the clients can fill up forms, order forms. It is an extranet. Or you can deal with your agents, your supplier, your agents, meaning your intermediaries can use your form, for example. And then those are the external network, extranet. So it involve client applications and the application integration with the partners and intermediaries. So management issues here is on the client side applications, how good you are dealing with the client side applications. Today, when most banks have this client side application, whether in your mobile phone or in the in the desktop or in tablets, computers, because they don't want customers to come to their branches. Everything is dealt with online using web services. So client side is very important to have good quality client side applications, reliability. When you talk about trust today, trust is not just about you trust that the bank doesn't lose your money. That's one thing. but you need to have trust so that whenever you need to use the banking facility, the facility is up and running. You can just imagine if you have one day you need to, you wake up at 2 o'clock, and then some friend or families have some mishaps and then require some money from you, and then you need to submit, you need to email, or you need to send some money and so on. And then you find out that the bank is not online until a few hours. So trust is not today, trust is not just about ensuring that your money is there, but ensuring you are able to use your fund whenever you need them. So you need, so that you look into the quality of your extranet through the internet service provider. ISP is internet service provider, and then integration with your partner systems. How do you where do you host your external applications? Maybe you can put them in some server farm, some clouds, for example, where is the cloud location? And then your cloud need to have some zoning and then redundancy. You make sure that they are up and running 24 hours, 7 days a week, every time they are on. Yeah. So that is the client side issues. And then the importance of having good quality client applications, good quality integration of this application with your partners and intermediaries. And then you need to manage your extranet or external network. Yeah, so this is the way that we are today. We are in business around the clock. And then we don't have people who works around the clock, but the systems will be up and ready and running around the clock. And then if the customer say, you just imagine, and then if your banking system is down for a few hours, say from 1 a.m. in the morning until 5 p.m. in the 5 a.m. in the morning, just for 4 hours. And then what you can see what kind of complaints will people receive. People do business, people buy things 24/7. Yeah. Okay, this is the situation today. And then we also have to get your intranet. Intranet it runs on internet, but it's actually your own operations, your own internal systems. So you can have application development, your applications, you build applications, and then data management. Your application will fetch data. So this data usually is centralized data, so you don't have to, we call it central repository, centralized data. Yeah, so that you don't have to duplicate data. You don't have redundancy of data. You don't have there are several issues when you separate data. So you have one centralized data, and then you have applications, and then this application server. We have application development, application server, and then we have web server. Web server is the server that you log into the site. For example, like we have the most common for is Microsoft Web Server or .NET, or say I'm using Apache for my own system, Apache server. Apache server, this is web server. Web server is just provide the location of the application where, so once you type certain domain, say www.putrabs.edu.my, it goes to the web server first. And then this web server will direct from your URL to the specific location in your server. It can be your application server. What sort of application server that you have? Maybe you want to register for a course, you want to enroll for a course, or you want to do certain activity, you want to assign a supervisor for your research, for example. So there is an application server, or you want to submit your documents. Yeah, so there is an application server. And then once you do that, it will fetch data from your data management. And then there can be some legacy applications, which is the old applications. And then there is a corporate database server, which is meant for doesn't get involved in the daily operations, but it is more of the corporate database server where, for example, Putra Business School have the name of the staff and so on, the financial information and so on. So these are the intranet or internal network will host the platform for all the application development, content management system, the database management. So that is important to have a quality server-side application because when you win, get some services from the company or from hotel, from banks, you need to make sure that the system is up and running and according to your expectation. Yeah. And then the performance, the availability, high availability of the system, and what sort of interface that you have to deal with the system. And then you integrate this into large system. And then you should be able, the organization itself, for example, Putra Business School or any banks or any organization, they must be able to monitor their service levels, which are down, which are up, and so on. And then they need to quality of staff to access this internet and intranet services. So these are the two basic infrastructure that management need to make sure that they need to look at. So this is the application level. Yeah. So we have this top level, which is the application level. Yeah. The application layer. Yeah. And then at the back end, of course, you have this software service layer. We have this web browser server and the internet, TLD type. So, and then we have these factors in the micro and micro environment. So I think we have covered this PESEL. This is sometimes we call it PESEL, sometimes we call it SLAP. SLAP stands for social, legal, ethical, and taxation. E, economic. P, political. T is technological, and C, competitive. Yeah. SLAP for macro environment, and then I think micro environment I've covered just now. Okay, it's the same thing. And then we look into the ethical consideration, ethical issues that you need to look at, data protection, basically 4 areas in terms of privacy, what information is held about the individual. In Malaysia, we have Personal Data Protection Act. But this Personal Data Protection Act doesn't cover the data collected and used by government and state government, government agencies and state government, and then make sure that these personal information about accuracy of data, whether data is correct, property, who owns the data, and how ownership can be transferred, and then accessibility of this data. Okay, by the way, there is a talk. I mean, while I'm here, I think I can mention to you. There is a talk. Okay, I'll share you a talk that will be held tomorrow. Tomorrow, those interested. I'll stop share. So hold on. I'll put you up. I'll share you a posting. Okay. Those interested, I hope you are interested because you are in this class. So those who are interested in learning about business models of open data intermediaries, business models of open data intermediaries. So what is open data intermediaries? What is open data? Open data is some kind of federated, they apply some kind of federated database where you can share data, but this data must be governed according to the privacy, secrecy, confidentiality of this data. So we look for business models of open data intermediaries. So insights from practice, there is a webinar, 29 May at 11 a.m. says, which is in Malaysia time, it's about 5 p.m. Malaysia time, 5 p.m. Malaysia time. This is Central European summertime, summer there in Europe. So Central European summertime is tomorrow. Open data intermediaries are vital in enhancing public and private value generation from open data. So they are third-party actors, so provide specialized resources and capabilities to enhance the supply, flow, and use of open data and strengthen the relationship among various open data stakeholders. So these government, municipalities. So this is being used in EU, European Union, where they share data. So they need to govern this data. There are legislations to do the data. So these existing and potential business models. So how if you get data, so how do you apply your business models of open data intermediaries are still insufficiently understood and explored. So there is research conducted under this open data ecosystem project, or DECO, open data ecosystem project, to discuss on the role of open data intermediaries. So you have intermediaries, for example, like Esri. Esri is the main company that do geospatial. If anybody of you do geospatial data, Esri, like ArcGIS and so on. So they so to invite discussion, and then archetypes of these current business models based on S3's open data intermediation business model. So S3 is geospatial software. It's actually an American company, but the product is the only geospatial software, ArcGIS, that people use worldwide. Yeah. So presentation is by Ashraf Shahrudin, actually. My son, actually, she's a researcher in Delft, Netherlands, doing his PhD there. And then there will be reflection by Dr. Michael Gold from Spain and Dr. Lynn Vingel from Denmark. So I think I'll just you can get this from TU Delft.
Sorry, Prof. Excuse me.
Yes.
Did I hear properly your son?
Yes, he's my son.
Really?
Yeah.
And he's into the digital technology and business models and that kind of thing?
Yes, the same like me. Okay.
Wow.
Then his research is sponsored by European Union, European Commission.
And he's based in Malaysia.
No, he's based in Netherlands.
Netherlands, got you.
Okay, it's based in Netherlands. Yeah, so those who's keen, so we are talking about data today, open data, sharing of data, ethics. So we can ask him questions. Okay, he's at TU Delft. Yeah, okay. Maybe how do I? Yeah, you can just register. Yeah, okay. Anything you can text me if anybody want to have the link. Yeah.
I found his paper.
You found his paper.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we have so we go back to our slide. It's about yeah. So we talk about privacy, accuracy, property, accessibility. So we are looking into database today. So what about open data? You can just open data. What are the ethical issues related to open data? So the common information that you have here is on the type of information that got being captured by data online will be contact information. It can be online form. There are two ways of you to gathering data from online. It can be they call it, the system will be explicit or implicit. Yeah, explicit. Explicit is where you request the audience, your customers, to key in their form, put in their names and so on. That is explicit. Or implicit. Implicit, you don't request, but you install cookies in their system. Cookies in their system. You put in cookies in their system. But there is an ethical way of doing cookies. This is where you call it opt-in. Opt-in actually, or by default you are out, and then you opt in. So the system will not bring you in. So you have to opt in. That is an ethical way. So besides that, so they will capture your contact information, capture your profile information, and then do a website analytics, access analytics, where the type of your computer type, operating system, and so on. It will be captured by the system as well. Yeah. So these are the information that you will have when your audience come in to your site. And then behavioral information, where do they go, the purchase history, first party cookies, and then there could be also malware. Okay, what is the difference between malware and good cookies? Good cookies, like I always tell my classes, where it's like you go to a shop, you go to any shop, any outlet. So there will be a shopping assistant, shop assistant. There will be a shop assistant to you. So the shop assistant will follow you wherever you go. From the rack to rack, they will follow you and make sure you buy what do you want, and so on. They will just keep track of what you do, and then a good a cookies will not follow you to your home. You will stop at the door and then go out, and then you will leave the shop, and then you will go home. Later, maybe a few days later, when you come to the shop again, the cookie will remember you. This shop assistant will remember you. Oh, you were here. You were looking for this thing. We have found it, and so on. That is a good cookie. A malware is a shop assistant that follows to your home and then start writing about you, what you do at your home. That malware. So there can also be third-party cookies. Also, search engine also use cookies to track advertisement, and then so on. Yeah. So Fletcher 2001 produced an alternative perspective on issue on the individual and marketer. We look into transparency, who is collecting what information are you collecting, and then who is collecting them. Security, how is the information protected once it is collected by the company? Nobody asks actually. Once you collect my information, how do you protect my information? Yeah, so nobody usually asks that. We agree to provide information to them, but we do not ask them how do they protect the data that they have collected. Who is responsible if data are being abused? Yeah, if you make use of like I understand, when they do open data in Europe, you can ask if you happen to join the webinar tomorrow. They started off by aligning or carving the legislation. They started by putting up the legislation. So they make sure that there are laws about privacy. This is privacy data. Laws about confidentiality. This is confidential, secret, multiple layers of confidentiality, and so on. There are several laws to safeguard all this data. And then the rest of this data, because data are not information. Data are raw facts. So they are facts, but they are still raw. So they have not been aggregated to become information. So you can use data and you can combine data, but so data should be transparent. So everybody have access to this data. So you can have interpretation, you can analyze this data, so everybody can have access to this data. So they are open, but excluding those who have been determined as private and so on. So those are, so if the data are being abused, there is laws or legislations that can penalize or punish those who have abused this data, make it wrongfully use of this data. Yeah, so there should be some liability who is responsible for this data. And this is by Fletcher 2001. This is just some general data protection regulation. You must be able to demonstrate how data have been consented, and then marketing must record how and who gave the consent. When you collect data, they determine we have consent. You just put a tick and then they submit. And then the data subject must be able to withdraw consent at any time. And then consent must cover all processing activity based on the same purpose. If multi-purpose, they should have different consent for different purpose. And then consent should not be given freely if the data subject have no genuine or free choice. And then silent consent should not constitute a consent. So Singh and Pereira provide evaluation from framework according to level of localization. We have standard website, which is not, this is on localization of data. Now we move into from security, from ethical, we move into localization of data. We have localized website, we have semi-localized website, and then we have standard website. When you build website for your digital purpose, for your digital business purposes, you can have a standard website. It is not specific for any domestic or international, same site everywhere. Or you can have semi-localized site. So there is about certain international customers that you have semi-localized website. Not so much of localized, but semi-localized. And then, or you can have a localized website, the specific for that country. So this is in terms of localization of website. Yeah. Still in localization website, you can have a highly localized website that put in the time, date, postcode, currency format, everything, and even the IP addresses, even the map, and so on. Or it can also be culturally customers' website. Yeah? So it's getting immersed to the target customer segment. Yeah? Okay, I think some of this I need to skip, for example, like economical and political. So you look into the company's competitiveness, how they achieve government efficiencies and tax regime. And then technological is how does the technology change, yeah, and then our system secure. And then I think, okay, any questions so far? Okay, in terms of technology, there is this by Rogers, and Rogers is a very old theory, 1983, Rogers. According to Rogers, when you implement any technology, there will be these five groups of people, according to Rogers. The percentage differ from technology to technology or from country to country. So when you start selling out technology, so there are several theories that relates to technology adoption and technology acceptance. One is STEM, technology acceptance model, and then you have UTAU, unified theory of acceptance and use of technology. And then there is this theory, we call it diffusion of innovation theory, is where when you push out theory and push out technology, when you push out technology, there will be these five groups of people. The first one will be innovators. Innovators, whatever technology comes in, they will be the one who implement, who use them first. Whatever comes in, they will use it. They like to use new things, especially when you have beta products, which is free, they will use, but there are not many of them. So, but these beta people will look at these innovators, will provide some feedback, small feedbacks, and then it will lead to us or these opinion leaders. Opinion leaders will come in and then they provide opinion. They will try the technology based on some innovators' comments. They will use them and then they will provide their opinion. They will be provide positive feedback, negative feedback, and so on. These opinion leaders. And then from these opinion leaders, there will be some people with we call it early majority. Early majority, they don't look at numbers, but they believe on the opinion leaders. They believe on the opinion leaders, and then based on the technical aspects of the technology and so on, they will make use of it. They are not really an opinion leaders, but they follow the opinion leaders. They don't provide their opinion, but they follow the opinion leaders. The opinion leaders are the ones that provide opinions about the technology, whereas innovators doesn't really matter. Whatever new they will use. Opinion leaders, they will give opinion, and early majorities they will follow the opinion leaders. They look into what the comments, feedbacks, or opinion leaders they will use. And then the late majority will come based on numbers. They don't based on opinions, but they based on numbers. How many people have used? Many people have used. They will follow. Late majority will come and follow based on numbers. The early majorities will create the numbers. Late majority will create the numbers, but the late majority will come based on the numbers of the early majority. And then there will be laggards. Laggards will not be it will not be adopting the technology at all. They will not be adopting the technology, but you have to what do you call it, twist their arm. They will need to force them to use the technologies. If you cannot use the technology, you will not be able to access certain things. So these are the conservative adopters, and so the laggards, the laggards. So this is by Rogers. There are these 5 groups of people. So the innovators will always come in and implement new technology. We have opinion leaders, give them opinion. Early majority, they're based on the opinion of the leaders, of the opinion leaders. And then, but they will create the numbers. And then the late majority will be based on the numbers come in from the early majority, and then the uh, late majority. And then the laggards will not use the technology, but they have to be forced to use the technology, somehow forced to be. Yeah, and then Gartner have this hype cycle. Whenever you implement the technology, there will be an innovation trigger, push up the technology, and then there is high expectation. Sometimes we call it hype. Call it hype. Some certain things are hype. For example, AI today may be hype. Earlier we have blockchain, or can say is a hype. So it reached a hype. And then we have a trough of disillusionment. Some things that it doesn't meet the expectation. It will go down, trough the disillusionment, and then people start to understand scope of enlightenment, and then you have plateau of this productivity. Usually, whatever technology, there will be this hype cycle, according to Gartner, meaning that they will trigger innovation. What do we have today? Say computerization, cyber physical, IR 4.0. And then with IR 4.0, we have robotics, we have AI, we have a lot of things coming up. And then there was a inflated expectation, a peak of inflated expectations. It's not actually it's not the actual thing that can be achieved, but there is high expectation, inflated expectation. Some people, we call it high. And then after that, it will be trough of disillusionment. It goes down because people say, this is just a bubble. Nothing is happening. And they go down, and then people start to understand. There will be a slope of enlightenment. People really understand things. And then there will be a plateau. That is Gartner hype cycle. So these are the things that we learned today on your digital marketplace. Yeah, digital marketplace. We covered topic 3, we will do situation analysis, the environmental scanning, who are your environments, and then how do you do that? You look into how do you determine your online presence, your customer segment, search intermediaries, and so on. And then you look into your channel, marketplace, what is your disintermediation, re-intermediation, determine your channels, the various types of channels, and the technology that we have, the problems that we have in terms of privacy, trust, digital, and then the layers of this digital model, digital infrastructure, several layers, and then we will be using internet, and then what is URLs and domain names, what is in a URL, and then we have fragmented applications. How do you overcome this fragmented application where you integrate using functional integration, and then different levels of management will have different sort of decisions. And then we have elements of digital business infrastructure where we have this the extranet and internal. We have intranet, and then again with factors of macro and micro environment, SLAP factors, and then the ethical consideration in data protection when we deal with this area. Yeah, privacy, accuracy, property, accessibility, and then ethics, and then we have local data protection, and in terms of the website tools and so on, how do you do your localization, types of localization? We have standardized website, semi-localized website, localized website, and then we have highly localized website, and also culturally customized websites, and then economic and political technological issues. So the trend of technologies where we have diffusion of innovation, theory by Rogers, and then we have this Gartner hype cycle. Understand the Gartner hype cycle. I don't put in specific technology, but if you look into Gartner website, they will have their kind of hype cycle for every sort of technology that been coming in the world. Yeah, so they will provide this. Okay, thank you. Any question? So those interested can join in my. I can provide the link. Let me see. Yeah, if I can copy the link. Okay, this is the link. Okay. Okay, those interested can just click there. Okay. This is the link for those who keen to register for the talk. It's actually my son. He's actually my son. Okay, any question on today's topic? We have another about less than 10 minutes for Q&A.
All right, Prof. I have a question.
Yes.
So this is an explosion of new technologies and I'm sure it's out of control and regulations are not there. So how should new technologies be monitored in digital business operation, Prof?
Okay. It's difficult to answer actually. I develop technology and then I don't really think how it should be monitored. But you need to have some ground, basic ethics. And then how depends on actually you need to know for what purpose you're using the technology and so on. So not easy to answer, but that's how you need to have the basic ethics. That's why when you learn information technology, actually we will come together with ethics and moral values.
Right, Prof. And another question would be, how can websites be localized effectively to cater international customers? Because we talk about localization, but international customer, let's say, for Malaysia, it's easy because it's very international, it's global. But for, let's say, we talk about South America, let's say, where Spanish is the main language. Gather a website for them instead of for us. I mean, because I'm from there, so it has to be in Spanish. So to have customers, and it's not just only translating the website from English to Spanish.
You need to know the culture, because I've given a talk on culture of website many years ago,
Really?
when I was in industry. So I looked into several websites back then. Today today it's difficult to find culturally aligned website. Earlier we can have so many culturally aligned website where websites they don't really apply English, but they apply their culture, their language, their cultures, and you can see the difference and the varieties of website. They try to be localized, but today with this internationalization, we have a lot of internationalization. We don't have such, but I believe that you still need to go for certain locations. You still need to localize. It's about to understand the local community. So it's best that you can partner with locals. They have this. You cannot come in, let's say, a day or two, even a month or a year, and then you understand the local culture. You need to partner with them, and then partner with someone you trust, and then they will be the one who have access to this. They have really understand. They need to be immersed, because they call it immersed. You cannot be immersed for a week or two. I mean, we are doing business. Every day is count, every month count. So everything is cost. So you cannot. So it's best that you have a partner to deal with.
Thank you, Prof.
Yeah. Yes, Alice.
Hi, Prof. Yes.
Yes.
I have a follow-up question to Jeremy in terms of localization. I think as part of the some business model, they globalize the team. Some business model, they regionalize the team. But follow-up question to Jamie, if we want to partner with others so that we can localize and customize the product so that it can be accustomed to the local regulation and reference, how do we keep our global value intact? Because for example, I see, I think recent incident we have is in Malaysia, one of the case of a very high profile pizza chain. I think they are very famous pizza chain, not only in Malaysia but as well as other countries. However, I think it's one of the challenge to keep the stuff to ensure that the value is streamlined across. So what is your take about this, Prof? And how do you think an entrepreneur would be able to keep this, even though they go local?
Yes, I agree with you, Alice. Okay, anybody want to have comment or feedback? Ziui, Eileen, Omar, Hazik? Yes, Omar.
Prof, just a question in mind. So just now you shared with us the diffusion adoption curve by Rogers and also the Gartner hype cycle, right? So these cycles, like what is the factor that control this kind of adoption? Like, is it the community itself, or what is the factor that control this adoption actually?
Okay, this adoption, like division of innovation, comes from a theory. It comes from a theory. Actually, this theory comes from a research. Actually, they interview people. I think when you do your business research method later, and then you will be doing research as well, and then you will understand how does theories come about. So diffusion and innovation talks about whenever you diffuse technology, there will be these four groups of people, but the percentage differs. It's actually differs according to the technology, according to the say country or different community or different culture. But basically, there will be these five groups of people, meaning that those who whatever technology you come out, they especially, and then you put them beta, they can use it freely, they will use. As long as it's free, they will use beta. But there are people who have opinion, so they will test and then they'll provide opinion, and then these opinion makers, opinion leaders will have followers who listen to their opinion, especially when we have social media today. They will provide their feedback and so on. This majority people, these people who understand or learns from these opinion leaders will be the majority followers. They will create numbers. And then there are people who doesn't really understand the technical part. There are many people doesn't really understand the technical part, but they ask how many people have used them. They don't understand technical. When say you buy some medicine, you buy certain technology, 5G, 4G. What is 5G? What is 4G? They don't really matter. They don't really bother what is 5G or 4G. But how many people have used? If many people use, they will follow because those are the the follower. So and then there will be last people doesn't follow it all. So basically these are this same goes with Gartner. So this is the trend. They came about from research.
Okay. Thank you, Prof.
Yeah. Okay. Any question? Yes, Revati. Otherwise, we can adjourn today, and then you can join the webinar tomorrow. I have a talk as well tomorrow. My talk is about 3. It's at 3. You can look at PBS link. My talk on qualitative research. I have a talk on qualitative research. Who are keen to do qualitative research? I provide my talk tomorrow is on foundations of qualitative research. Yeah, so at 3 o'clock. And then my son is giving his talk at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Okay.
Prof, I have a one-on-one at 3 o'clock. Are there any possibility to have a record the link to watch rewatch
I think
later?
you can get from Ani of PBS.
Thanks, Prof.
Yeah. Okay. Ani of PBS. Okay. Thank you very much. See you next week.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Prof.
Okay.
Thanks, Prof.
Thank you, Prof.